Attention passionate Atlanta, Falcons fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC South and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Atlanta Falcons' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Atlanta Falcons fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Atlanta, FALCONS. Let's get to the news. Alright, folks. Today we're diving deep into what's brewing in Atlanta, and I mean brewing in a big way. The Falcons are currently in the middle of a fascinating transformation, especially on the defensive side of the ball. If you've been following the team this offseason, you've probably noticed that there's a real emphasis on youth, on building something for the long haul, and trying to put together a defense that can finally rise from the ashes of some pretty underwhelming seasons. And trust me, what's happening right now is not just a minor rebuild. It's a strategic overhaul, and it could have ripple effects across the NFC South, and maybe even beyond. So let's start with the core of this shift. The Falcons are actively investing in young talent, especially through the draft. They've secured a staggering 7 draft picks in the first 4 rounds of the 2024 and 2025 NFL drafts, specifically aimed at bolstering the defense. Now, when a team invests that heavily in the draft, especially in the front 7, it signals a clear message. We're building for the future, and we're doing it with young, talented players who can develop into stars. Among these rookies, players like Jalon Walker and James Pierce Jr. stand out as potential game changers. Pierce, in particular, a rookie edge rusher, has already made waves in training camp, showing flashes of the pass-rushing prowess that made him a high draft pick. But it's not just about adding young faces. It's about the strategic moves the Falcons could make to accelerate their development. For instance, there's buzz about a possible trade involving star edge rusher Trey Hedrickson from the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, Hedrickson is a proven commodity. Last season, he led the NFL with 17.5 sacks, a truly remarkable achievement for any defender, especially at his age of 30. But here's the kicker, the Bengals are in a contract dispute with him, and it's reached a point where they're actually listening to trade offers. That's rare for a player of his caliber, and it's a signal that Cincinnati might be willing to part ways rather than continue negotiations. Now, I know what you're thinking, is that actually something the Falcons would consider? Well, NFL Network's Nick Shook has listed Atlanta as one of the potential landing spots for Hedrickson, which is pretty interesting. The Athletic's Diana Rossini even reported that the Bengals' asking price includes a 2026 first-round pick and a young defensive player. And that's where it gets really intriguing for Falcons fans. Because, guess what? Their 2026 first-round pick is none other than James Pierce Jr. Now, I want you to think about that for a second. Would the Falcons trade Pierce, a promising rookie, for a proven veteran like Hedrickson? It's a tough call, and honestly, most fans would have said no just a few months ago. But if you look at the bigger picture, the argument for acquiring Hedrickson becomes clearer. Let's take a step back and analyze what this means from a broader perspective. The Falcons have invested heavily in their youth movement, trying to build a sustainable, long-term defense. But in the NFL, you also need proven players who can make an immediate impact. Hedrickson, with his consistency and ability to chase quarterbacks, fits that mold perfectly. Remember, last season he led the league in sacks, and that kind of production is exactly what Atlanta needs to complement their emerging young talent. They've already shown a willingness to make bold moves, like they did last season with Matt Judon, bringing in a veteran pass rusher to boost the pass rush. Now the big question is, would it make sense to give up Pierce, who has already impressed in camp, for Hedrickson? Well, the answer isn't straightforward. The Falcons are in a bit of a cap crunch, and signing Hedrickson to a new contract while trying to extend Drake London and possibly Kyle Pitts adds layers of complexity. Cap space is always tight, especially with the kind of spending they've done this offseason. But when leadership feels the pressure to push for a playoff berth, or even a Super Bowl, they're often willing to make bold moves, even if it means bending the cap rules temporarily or making difficult decisions. Here's where it gets even more interesting. While many analysts initially criticized the Falcons for trading away a future first-round pick for Pierce, the reality is that Pierce has already shown flashes of his potential, and he's still a rookie. The narrative might shift if Atlanta were to trade Pierce now, especially if Hedrickson could be that veteran presence to help the team take a leap forward in 2025. Think about it. Hedrickson's experience, his ability to consistently pressure quarterbacks, and his leadership qualities could be exactly what Atlanta needs to turn their defense into a real force. And of course, it's not just about this season, but about setting the foundation for sustained success. But let's be real here, this isn't just about one player or one trade. It's about the philosophy of the team. The Falcons are clearly trying to strike a balance between developing young talent and adding proven veterans who can make an immediate difference. And I think that's a smart approach. You have to be aggressive when the opportunity presents itself, especially with a player like Hedrickson who can change the game in a snap. Now, moving beyond just the potential trade targets, let's talk about the bigger picture. The Falcons' defense, as it currently stands, has nowhere to go but up. Last season, they struggled to generate consistent pressure, and that's been a recurring theme for quite some time. But with the draft picks they accumulated, and the young players like Jalen Walker, who has shown promise, the foundation is being laid. Walker, a linebacker, adds speed and coverage ability, and he's expected to develop into a key piece of Atlanta's linebacker core. Meanwhile, the rookies like Pierce Jr. are expected to bring pass-rushing juice that the defense desperately needs. On the offensive side, things are looking promising, especially with Michael Penix Jr. leading the charge. Penix, in his second year with the Falcons after transferring from Washington, has shown significant growth and has the tools to elevate the offense to new heights. His arm strength, accuracy, and decision-making are all critical components that the Falcons are banking on for this upcoming season. The offensive line has also been a focus for improvement, and with that stability, Penix can truly unlock the potential of his weapons, including Kyle Pitts and Drake London. But let's not forget that the defense is the real wild card here. If the Falcons can add a veteran like Hedrickson through a trade, that could dramatically boost their pass rush, which has been a weakness for years. A formidable pass rush not only pressures the quarterback, but also creates more turnovers and gives the entire defense a chance to shine. The young players will learn from Hedrickson, and that mentorship could be invaluable in the long run. Plus, with the team's draft capital and cap space, they have options, whether it's trading Pierce, Dorless, or other assets for a veteran who can make an immediate impact. Now, for the fans who are wondering about the timeline, I'll tell you this. The Falcons aren't just thinking about 2024 or even 2025. They're planning for sustained success, and that's why they're willing to be aggressive now. They know that to compete with the best in the NFC South, which, let's be honest, is a division that's only getting tougher, they need to make bold moves, add talent, and develop their young players simultaneously. The NFC South has become a battleground, with teams like Tampa Bay, New Orleans, and Carolina all trying to find their footing, but Atlanta is positioning itself to be a major player for years to come. And of course, there's always the element of unpredictability in the NFL. Injuries, unexpected performances, coaching adjustments, all of these factors can turn a team's fortunes around overnight. That's why the Falcons' strategy of blending youth with veteran leadership is so smart. It gives them the flexibility to adapt and the depth to withstand setbacks. Now, I want to highlight again how crucial this offseason has been for the Falcons' front office, led by General Manager Terry Fontenot. The moves they've made, the picks they've used, and the rumors swirling about potential trades all point to a team that's ready to make a statement. They're not just aiming to be competitive, they want to contend, to push deep into the playoffs, and maybe even make a serious run toward that elusive Super Bowl. And with the right mix of young talent, smart acquisitions, and strategic cap management, they're positioning themselves for that future. So, as we look ahead to the season, keep an eye on how these young players develop. Watch how the defense improves, and how the leadership from veterans like Hedrickson could influence that development. And stay tuned for more news, because if the Falcons do pull off a trade for Hedrickson or any other veteran, you know I'll be here to break it down for you in detail. It's an exciting time to be a Falcons fan, and I genuinely believe that this offseason could be the turning point for the franchise's future success. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Atlanta Falcons news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. And now, Atlanta Falcons fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on all of this? Do you believe that the team should pursue a trade for Hedrickson, or do you think they should stay the course with their young core? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinions matter so much to us and to the Falcons organization. Remember, this is a fan-driven community, and your voice helps shape the conversation. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, insights, and analysis on everything Falcons related, so stay tuned and keep that passion alive. The best is yet to come, and I'm excited to see how this story unfolds. Thanks for being with me today, and as always, go Falcons!